Welcome to my brand new channel. I'm Julie Rose. I'm a big fan of Disventure Camp and Total Drama, and today I will be sharing my thoughts and opinions on the Disventure Camp Fans vs. Favorites cast reveal. A quick disclaimer before we get started: these are just my opinions. Feel free to disagree with me and let me know your own opinions of the cast down in the comments. Before I go in depth on each character, I want to talk about the concept of the new season as a whole. I think Fans vs. Favorites is a unique way to go this season, and it leaves a lot of room for new dynamics because not only do we have 12 new characters, but we'll get to see characters from each season interact with each other. While I do like the concept, I can't help but feel a little disappointed that we don't get another season with all of the Carnival of Chaos cast. It is my favorite season so far and probably my favorite cast. There are so many standout characters, and I'd like to see more of them, especially those who didn't have as much screen time, like Alessio and Tristan, for example. I was really hoping to see all these guys back at it again in a new season, building off of existing relationships, forming new alliances and connections. These characters just have so much potential because they're well written, and I'm so invested in their stories and where they'll go from here. I also feel like it's too early to bring back characters from the first two seasons. Several of them have already competed in multiple seasons, and I'm just not as interested in their plot lines. I think the Fans vs. Favorites concept might have been cooler in a later season to have one or two characters in each season come back for another chance to win. Another issue I have is with aesthetics. There is a slight difference in aesthetics between the first two seasons and the Carnival of Chaos cast, but overall, I think they're similar enough for it not to be too distracting, and maybe if some of the characters get a redesign, they'll blend together a bit better. However, the new character designs are drastically different. I don't know exactly how to describe the aesthetic of the new designs other than busy. I don't hate it, but with the older designs right next to them, I think it's going to be a pretty stark contrast. I've heard that these aren't the finished designs, and I hope that's true because these guys right now just don't look as much like real people. They're a bit too cartoony for my liking, almost reminiscent of the Pakatu Island cast, where many of the designs look like caricatures rather than people who could exist in real life. Obviously, this isn't quite to that extent, but it's just something I noticed immediately, and I hope their personalities are at least more grounded in reality. Of course, this isn't every new character, it's just some of them, their designs are a little harsh. Also, based on the title of this season, I would assume that the fans will be on one team and the favorites will be on the other team. I am worried this might cause an imbalance in storytelling since one team will be more developed at the start since we already know them, whereas the other team will have to start from scratch essentially. I do hope at some point before the merge that these teams will get mixed up because I'd like to see all the characters interact with each other rather than have a separation from the returning characters with the new ones. In terms of the returning characters, I'm excited for some, others not so much. Alec is an interesting character, and I'm not mad about him returning. I really liked his character in season 1 and his storyline with Fiore. I think these two have a really good bond, even though they had a little bit of a falling out. I'm confident that a new season might bring them closer together again, and I'd like to see them team up. I wasn't a fan of his role in All Stars and how he treated Fiore and his messy situationship with Rhea. I liked that his backstory had more depth to it, with his family problems, his divorce, and problems connecting with his child. I like to see him mend the rift between him and Fiore and see them team up once again. And I hope that his relationship with his kid has improved since we've last seen him, because that honestly just makes me really sad. Fiore returning makes me hopeful that we'll see more interactions between her and Alec and see new developments in their character arcs. I'm also really curious about Fiore's backstory, and I hope that we'll get to learn more about her. Like, who are her parents? Why is she an evil genius? Did something traumatic happen to cause her to act way older than her age and cause her to distrust people? Or was she just born evil? I'm using the term evil loosely. I don't actually think she's evil, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I think it was a good call to bring both of these characters back. They were two of my favorites in season 1. The others, however, I'm not as excited for. Tom has had so much screen time. What else is there for him to do? He's already been in 2 seasons and has a spin-off show, and I'm really not all that excited to see him again. I really liked him in season 1, and I like that we got to see more of his backstory in Tom Jake, but in terms of being a competitor in a new season, I honestly don't think he has much potential to do anything interesting, unless he has a really cool dynamic with the Carnival of Chaos character or one of the new contestants. I'm just not really looking forward to seeing him again. I feel similarly about Gabby. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Gabby. She's my favorite character out of the entire first 2 seasons. She's unpredictable, and I like to see her challenges with her mental illnesses and how she's working through that. I can connect with her also because I have bipolar as well, and it's nice to see some representation. Although it's not the best representation of bipolar disorder, I don't find it offensive or dumb. I just think there might have been some better ways to demonstrate this rather than having her talk to her other self or display symptoms that look more like schizophrenia than bipolar. But anyway, even though I adore Gabby, I think she might have ran her course. I'm also worried that her character could be ruined for me if she's not handled well in the new season. She's also had a lot of screen time already too with All Stars and Tom Jake. I'm not too interested in seeing her again unless, again, she has some cool new dynamic with a character she hasn't interacted with before, and we need some sort of major character development or new plot with her to make me interested in her again. Moving on to the season 2 returnees, I am excited to see more of Rosa. I think she's the best option for a return character because she is generally well loved among many fans of the show, and she still has a lot of potential. Her character was underutilized, and I want to know more about her. I want her to have her own arc this season rather than being a side character. I think she could get pretty far in the game depending on how she plays and who she forms an alliance with. I like Aiden. There's not really that much to dislike about him. I'm actually really interested to see where he goes from here. I'd like to see his and Lake's friendship progress and have them be allies, but I also don't want his interactions to be limited to the people in his season. I hope he can have a friend or a rival on the fans team to mix things up. My opinion on Lake will probably be controversial because she is also well liked by a lot of fans, but I truly was never super invested in her storyline or really much of what she's done so far. I'm also not a huge fan of her character design. The red hair bothers me because it just doesn't look flattering on her at all, and I wish it was a different shade of red or a different length to make her a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Don't get mad at me, it's just a preference, you can disagree. And I understand the symbolism behind the wig and how she wants to have control over her life and stray away from the good girl appearance her parents forced upon her. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what she'll bring to this season, but I hope it's something new and exciting, and maybe I'll change my opinion on her after I get to see her a little more. Allie is probably my least favorite returnee out of everyone. She was bad in All Stars, I'm just gonna say it. I hated her whole thing with Jake and how it went on for so long. I just did not care about her at all. I don't think she has much potential at this point to really go anywhere from here or do anything new that will change my mind about disliking her. Also, her whole thing about being bullied online by fans of the show implies that she's not a favorite. So why is she on the fans versus favorites cast? Lastly, we have the returnees from season 4. Benji is a good pick, I think. He's really funny, and I love that he makes inappropriate jokes completely by accident. He really wouldn't be funny if he was doing it on purpose, but because it's unintentional, I love to see it and I find him relatable. He wasn't super strategic in his time on Carnival of Chaos, so I'd like to see a bit of a redemption arc in terms of his gameplay. He's definitely going to need an ally, and I could totally see him and Aiden becoming friends this season and potential allies. Spencer is also a good choice because he is the fan favorite. I didn't like him at first because his drama with Diego was uninteresting in my opinion, but he definitely got better and I liked how strategic he was. Unfortunately, he ruined his chances by burning so many bridges, so I think he'll have a better shot with this new cast since he can start over. I would like to see him actually try to make sincere relationships this time rather than focusing on pure strategy because balance is really important to win this game. I love that Natalia is coming back because she was my favorite in season 4, and I was so sad when she got eliminated. I was rooting for her to win. She's so funny and relatable as well, and I think she has a really good shot at winning this season, so I will probably be rooting for her again. As for the mystery returnee, I think it's going to be Logan. He's overall well liked, and I think a new season could allow him to balance alliances rather than flipping teams over and over again. I'd like to see him interact with the season 1 and 2 characters as well. I think him and Tom or Alec might be a good pairing, but we'll just have to see if my prediction is right once the final member is revealed. To wrap things up, I just want to say I am really excited for this season. I think it's such a cool and unique idea. I hope my criticism didn't come across as being too severe because overall I do really like this show, and I think whatever they do, it's going to end up being great. I think the characters that I don't care for as much, I'm very hopeful that this season will change my mind. And yeah, that's it for this video. This was my very first video, so I hope I did okay. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, please. I have no subscribers yet. I would really appreciate it. Like this video, and I will do more in the future.